And the fact that you said you got paid $1,000 and did it just Jesus Christ.
550 times.
550.
550 appearances.
In
1 year.
I'm slipping.
And I think that year, I mean, he couldn't believe it. I think that year, I was on the air every day but 2 days.
For the entire year?
Yes, I was like 363 days, and I'm sitting there looking at people like, what's the problem?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it doesn't faze me. And that was when I had to go to a studio. That wasn't once I built the studio in my home.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So it was like, once it's in the home, I'm looking at it, I'm like, we got people out here, look at the median salary that exists in the United States of America. You got cats struggling to make $60,000 a year, you know? And so you gotta look at things from a practical perspective sometimes, because that's what the audience does. They look at their lives and they look at us as being at an elevated level. And rightfully so, because we're making the kind of money that the average person in America won't make. And so when you look at the fact that the average person is struggling to make ends meet, struggling to pay their rent, their mortgage, food on the table, basic shit that we grew up with that we had to overcome in order to get to the places that we are, what possible excuse can you have if you doing television and they call you and we need you to come on the air for 15 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what's the problem? You know, how is that really a challenge? I know cats who will remain nameless that have lost their jobs in our business because they were assholes to producers and stuff like that who were calling them, yo, man, I need you for SportsCenter. I need you for this show. I need you for that shit. Nah, I ain't got time for that. The greatest, I remember my former boss, his name was John Wildtack. He was the former executive VP at ESPN. He's now the AD at Syracuse. And he asked me to come there and give a speech to the Syracuse football team about 3 or 4 years ago or so. And it was one of the proudest moments that I had, not giving the speech, because I do that all the time, but what he said in his introduction. He had been in the business for 35 years. And he said, this young man that I'm about to introduce you to is the only person that I ever had to make take vacation. He said, he doesn't stop. You know, years ago when Dwight Howard was leaving the Lakers to go to Houston, and everybody, people couldn't believe it because I was on SportsCenter from an undisclosed tropical location. In this particular instance, it was St. Thomas.
Okay.
I was on a boat going from St. Thomas to St. John's, and Dwight Howard had called me because the story, he was like, they talking about, I'm not going to Houston. I'm leaving for Houston. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, let them know, you know. Mm-hmm. And he said, tell them I told you. And I was on the phone in the ocean. Mm-hmm. I don't know how I kept the signal, but from St. Thomas to St. John's is a 15-minute boat ride. And I was going to Trunk Bay, and I was on SportsCenter. And they're like, what the hell are you doing? You're supposed to be on vacation. Dwight Howard called, plain and simple. You know, it's like, you got a job to do, you got a job to do. Certainly, you don't want to have your time and stuff like that, but shit, the audience don't care about that. Mm-hmm. The audience wants to know what it wants to know. And if you're the person that has that kind of access and you have that kind of information and they want to hear from you, are you going to fulfill that obligation or are you not? It's like a player. In a roundabout way, it's what enables me to hold players accountable. Because if you playing ball, right, are you in shape? Are you taking care of yourself? Mm-hmm. Are you doing what you're supposed to be doing? Because when it comes to my job, I'm going to make sure I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So I'm looking at you and saying, that's the job you volunteered for. I'm not judging you against me or somebody else. I'm judging you against your industry, your contemporaries, about a job you volunteered for. This is what you said you wanted. Mm-hmm. Are you doing what you're supposed to do to maximize your potential? When I cover a sport, that's how I cover it. And I don't define success for somebody else.